Okie dokie.
All right. We actually have a special guest with us today.
When I
say let's get started,
okay. I'm sorry.
Movie, so let me do my thing again, Britain.
Jesus.
This can get very snippy.
Some infighting.
No, I lost what I was going to say. No. All right, so we actually have
the thing.
We have all right, so we have a little bit of a different thing here. We got a special guest with us. We got Ken. We want to be Kenny.
Ken's fine, whatever.
All right, so
We're already overdoing it with the whole special guest thing.
Yeah. So all right, let's get started. Now, the movie we watched was I Am Alone, and
It felt like it. I felt like I was alone.
yeah, I felt like that.
Yeah, alone was a good choice of word for the title.
I feel like there's not a lot of joy in the world anymore. But let's just kind of get into.
I feel like the title was trying to capture how you would feel inside of the theater.
Yeah, because
There was no theater for this movie.
This was not produced theatrically.
Right, but if there were, you would be alone.
Even dollar theaters didn't want a movie like this.
Like maybe this is one of those theaters you get your own individual booth, and
Yeah.
You mean like one of those like peep show theaters?
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, right. Like,
and then you'll be alone.
You get a rotoscope.
Is that what they watch in those?
Yeah, they watch I Am Alone and those things.
Yeah,
So
nothing else.
Makes a lot of sense.
So the
Explains why the lines usually aren't that long.
one of the I guess one of the big things about this movie that I remember we were talking about it when we were watching it was they kind of missed out on an opportunity. Like when the guy has the camera strapped to his chest and everything.
Well, before we get there, why don't we kind of discuss the foundation of what this movie is about? It's kind of like this CDC movie where they're investigating a couple of television hosts that are part of this Bear Grylls type show where they're Survivor Man and going out into the wild to kind of forage and survive on their own, and the foundation of the movie being that there is a zombie outbreak, some kind of viral zombie outbreak during this encounter, and it's a kind of a schlocky found footage type film.
I love found footage movies because they always find ways to film themselves even when it doesn't make sense. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, some footage should not be found.
it's like the one guy had like 6 different cameras set up. Is like, man, you put effort in.
Yeah, this
to
guy had
dying.
all the latest technology in the realm of videography.
And that was the same guy that, like at a certain point, like he gets bit by his friend who may or may not have just been on bath salts, and he bludgeons him with a rock, and then he straps a little camera to his chest, and they don't really do anything with it. Like
Not just his chest. This guy had more cameras than necessary for sure.
More cameras that is necessary even for the show he was trying to host.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
But his ability to, have use variance in his lens choices was just
like we said, he spent a lot of time setting up these cameras and everything like that.
yeah. I mean, this guy at least 72 hours he was infected, and it looked like at night it was the worst, but
I will say,
he
though,
never strayed from his commitment to,
I was saying,
to videography.
He was a professional through and through.
He was an artist first and a zombie second.
He died with a camera strapped to him. That's how much of a professional artist he was. Which kind of brings me to the point that I've been dancing around, which is how much cooler would it have been? I know we were talking about this if
if it was hardcore Henry, but from a zombie's perspective.
20
Yeah.
minutes.
God, that would have been brilliant.
A 20-minute setup that this zombie's got a camera strapped to him, and then just show the zombie.
Then you don't even
doing
need dialogue. You have an
Yeah.
hour of just cheesy kill footage.
It could have been intense, and
Right.
tight. It didn't have to be like you didn't need all this dialogue or big budget or anything to make a good movie. It could have been interesting. He could have been chasing his other friend,
Because one thing you could get from that is now you can actually see how the victims are reacting from
Yeah.
the zombies' point of view. and like just the horror of people screaming and trying to run away. The one person tripping and falling, and,
of course,
and becoming a victim. It could have actually been one hell of a gory movie in that respect.
Actually, I was even thinking if you take it a step further, since we have the two hosts and everything and doing other stuff, like one host has the camera strapped to him, turns into a zombie and is killing people.
Mm-hmm.
The other host also has a camera strapped to him, but he's hunting the zombies. So
yeah, that'd be great.
Intersplice between these two, basically people hunting each other, kind of thing.
And you have an audience for that.
Man,
100% of the time. Like,
that would have been a fantastic movie. And
that's like every video game, nerd, every movie buff, like every B movie. Like you would have had a whole audience. You would have had the whole world. I mean, I wouldn't have never found this movie if it wasn't for you giving me the controller and saying you pick. That was.
Yeah, it would have. It would have been It actually would have been an interesting movie that you really wouldn't have needed a huge budget for.
No. And
they didn't even have the budget to promote on like Facebook Market or like, I didn't see it anywhere, like a sponsored ad. I am alone. Like they were alone.
Yeah.
From the beginning to the end.
It would have worked out the way you described it, because it is, most of the film was just filler of these, these interviews, kind of these side talks, like in The Office or something like that, and.
That would have been a much funnier movie. Like, Jim biting me it didn't sit well with me. I bludgeoned him, but
yeah, that guy had like so much better camera technology than the CDC had like AV technology.
Yeah. The CDC had.
They had like a Panasonic like 1992 like VCR combo tube TV.
Like it was the TV VCR combo that you would get in a motel room.
Yes.
That does explain the Gideon's Bible that they found at one point. But go ahead.
No, go on.
But it's like, it feels like they were definitely trying to. They had an idea of what they wanted to do, but I kind of feel like it was maybe like the wrong idea of what they wanted to do.
Yeah, that's where the having ideas thing stopped.
Yeah. It goes back to what I always say, like, a lot of these movies that we see, especially the low budget ones, it's like one idea stretched over 4 servings. Like I like, there are some movies that we watch and it's just like, man, this movie's just chock full of ideas. You know? And I love that because it never feels dull or repetitive or boring, But the pacing of this movie was all off because they had one idea: Survivor Man with zombies, and that was the idea.
And it looks like they didn't even have really a script. I'm sure it was just the guy holding his cell phone or a GoPro or whatever he was filming with, and just
it was all like on the
whatever
fly,
scene.
All ad-libbed.
Yeah, and it just left the movie without a structure.
Yeah, I want to say that like before this, Red Christmas was definitely the worst movie I'd ever seen. However, Red Christmas is a period piece compared to this movie.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even want to call it a movie. It's not like. I really feel like it was definitely like a series of failed movies that was cobbled together.
It's more of an experiment.
Like I'm pretty sure 4 actors played one of the guys.
Yeah.
Like at any given time, you had no idea which characters it was. It was like watching Roseanne out of order. Like new Becky's in one scene, and then old Becky's in another.
That would be actually pretty cool. Not the out of order, but like.
Yeah. Now I'm just thinking like we should figure out a way to rearrange it so it still seems continuous. But we alternate Becky's.
Kind of like having a like I always said in Endgame when they bring everybody back, it should have been Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. I think that would have been awesome. Hilarious. I mean, yeah, I know a lot of people have been pissed. It would have like pretty much it would have never reached like #1 of all time movie, but I would have laughed, and that's all that matters to me.
Right, people are selfish, but I mean, even when they're good people, it's just. We want what we want.
Like Tony's like, who are you?
Like, piggyback off a point you guys were making. It was kind of it was like the editing was like Pulp Fiction, but not by choice or but not on purpose. It was kind of disjointed and out of order.
It was like randomized.
Yeah.
I feel like whoever edited this movie had never seen a movie before. They'd only heard about them.
Like, this was the movie edited by the playlist being on shuffle.
Yeah, exactly. Like, all right, this is the scene. Like, wow, man, they're starting off like right in the action. Oh wait, no, they're not. Like, there was one point where a guy was like handcuffed to like a bath bar.
Yeah, it was like a men's room towel rack.
Oh man,
It was like Mod Podged to the table.
It's like they just stapled it on.
And he just trusted them. He was like I don't know, he looked like a military veteran or something, or active duty, and he was just like, why am I handcuffed? And
which is weird.
He didn't even try to like break out or anything. Like, he was just like.
And I don't know why the CDC arrested him for,
Yeah, they never really touched back on that. They just let him go.
And I don't know how the CDC can arrest somebody. I don't think they're like a law enforcement agency of any
No, I don't think so either. Yeah, like they shouldn't be handcuffing people to.
So he was just kidnapped.
Yeah.
And the CDC should know better than to take the rail out of the men's room.
Look, they
just
never encountered a situation.
Strap it to a table in the break room. I mean, where was OSHA?
They were dealing with their own zombie
problems. After that, they got fined for that railing being.
$75.
Yeah, the inspector came in and was like, "This
Okay, well, let's
is
see.
unsanitary."
You got the towel rack, you got the zombie,
There's Kool-Aid all over this room.
Like, yep, that's Kool-Aid.
Then there was the map with the light bright.
Oh my gosh.
Or the Christmas lights on it. That
like
I
can't. There are so many. There's so
like
many.
Carmen Sandiego.
Like weird choices in this movie that it just felt like they didn't need to do it. It almost felt like they had the idea in their mind of the movie they wanted to make, but they didn't have the budget or resources to make it happen. So they just kind of like made do with what they had. Like, all right, well, we don't have a map of the United States with a bunch of different sections that lit up. So what do we have? We have a map from the United States that we put together as a puzzle. And then we have
this Windows screensaver that I really enjoy.
It's like, well, okay, we got this. Like, all right, well, we don't have stage blood. Well, what do you have? We have cranberry sauce. Okay.
Snapchat filters.
Yeah, okay, we got this. I think we can make a zombie movie now. Like, I'm pretty sure that some of the things that they filmed with like the big crowds like running around were just like a fun run.
Like they didn't even utilize like the transition effects that you can use in like Video Shop. Like they just like it was just cut straight from scene to scene.
I would have been so happy if there was a star wipe in the middle of it.
One of those ones that like
it's a spirals
out of the screen.
It's like
really would have jazzed it up a bit.
George Lucas when he had all those different like fades and wipes and everything.
Or those bad PowerPoint transitions.
There's like 3 stars on it. It'd be great. I would be so happy. Like that would almost make the movie feel watchable because I feel like there is some sort of intention behind this movie now. Mm-hmm. I don't get the intention, but
I feel like this guy was like dead set on doing all of his own stunts, but there was no need for stunts. Like he set himself up in a lot of spaces where it was like, dude, you could have just been sitting on the couch. Like for the technology that you used.
I think what this movie needed was kind of a change of concept. Yeah. Like not so much a Bear Grylls in the woods. Fighting zombies. I think what this movie needed more was, instead of Bear Grylls in the woods fighting zombies, it needed more of a Kevin McAllister Home Alone trying to fend off his home from zombies.
Yeah, what it needed was like some fighting zombies. There wasn't a whole lot of that. It was like, I think one hillbilly with like a cowboy hat on shot a woman in the back of the head, and like we just assumed that she was a zombie because there was a bunch of zombies in the area.
She didn't pay her tab.
Right, but and then he just like drives off and that's the only time I really see like anybody get the upper hand on the zombies. You don't see even the zombies get the upper hand on the there's not a lot of it's a lot of just like I feel like it's realistic in that sense because if there was like zombies like I'd be like doing whatever I could to avoid them.
Yeah, just walking away from the zombies instead of fighting them.
Like what are they doing? Like oh man, it's a good thing that fence is keeping them out.
Yeah, they're over there, so let them do it.
Yeah, like it wasn't so much a fighting movie as it was like oh no, there's zombies here now.
And then what about all the barns that had and the farms that had these advanced surveillance systems, like barn cam number 4?
Right, that barn was well built.
It was.
See,
I would have stayed there.
I would. Yeah, they just left for no reason.
Whatever happened to them? Did we get that?
No, they
There's
stopped-
there was
they
not.
just
It's
stopped
not very
talking about it.
conclusive.
Like, I wouldn't have gone maybe Kevin McAllister. I mean, that would be pretty cool.
That would be awesome.
But
mean,
I
definitely.
think more maybe, and hear me out here,
Okay.
Inspector Gadget versus zombies. Because I want a scene where Inspector Gadget gets bit and turns into a robot mechanical zombie. That would be awesome. Not a whole scene. That would be the whole movie. What am I talking about? He gets bit early on. Him and Penny, like...
Yeah, and then
has
Penny
some-
and the dog
brain,
have to.
yeah.
Yeah, they have to figure it
And
out.
he's like, and every now and again, because he's only half human, half robot, so it's like half the time he's like, "Don't worry, I'm always on duty," and then he's like, "Ah!" But he goes back to normal. But then he's got like zombie gadgets that come out every now and again.
Dude, Penny and the Brain is like the most underrated PR team of all time.
Penny and the Brain.
I do like the concept of Inspector Gadget and zombies, though I would keep Inspector Gadget kind of, still alive and not a zombie, because then you can use his gadgets.
Yeah, like just his gadgets are infected,
Like he uses his
and he's all like, "Oh
his,
no!"
propeller on his
slice it
helicopter
up.
thing just to mow through zombies.
Like I imagine by the end of the movie, it's like Dead Alive, where he's just covered in blood. He's like breathing.
That would be awesome.
Like he's like Ash at the end of Evil Army of Darkness, and then like you end the movie with this chipper. I'm always on duty.
Or like the last zombie that comes out is like there's a whole big horde of them. And the last one that stumbles towards him is Penny.
What if like what if his gadgets?
Cool.
What if his gadgets had like a computer virus? That made them act all wacky and like just murder civilians.
Y2K.
Yeah, it's like a bug because he didn't do the update.
Well, I mean, his gadgets never really worked properly
Right.
to begin with. Like sometimes a yo-yo would come out and he'd be like, "I didn't want this."
Yeah,
Or
there's
maybe
definitely
he
like
did.
a.
Maybe it was like all subconsciously.
Yeah, it was definitely like a user sort of like,
He was
what's
a
the
little
problem
bit-
here? And it was like a user error.
He was a little bit soft-brained, that gadget. Like,
He was equipped with a lot more than he knew how to use.
You know something? You explode and you tell me how good you are at working machinery.
let's see how smart you are when you have a helicopter in your head instead of a brain.
Instead of an amygdala.
Yeah, you just
I can't form memories.
like
I have an umbrella.
He's always introducing himself to the chief.
I know who you are, Gadget. It's like his brain has turned to dust, like has turned to pulp years ago. He just thinks that he has memories because that's how he's programmed.
I want the RoboCop death scene though in like an intro to an Inspector Gadget movie.
Our Dark Inspector Gadget.
Like just the machine gun, like where he just murders him, like overkill, like just like
And-
10,000 bullets.
Then he has an existential crisis when he goes to his own grave.
That's what we need, like a dark,
You know,
like a hybrid. Like don't do RoboCop again. We did that, but I
That
mean like
sucked.
do Inspector Gadget like RoboCop.
like
I mean don't even break face, like serious.
what was
Like
his,
Sylvester Stallone's in it. Like I mean like
was his last name Gadget? Like what name would be on the gravestone?
Uh,
Because they call him Uncle Gadget. Man, that seems
yeah,
like a
I
weird.
guess.
yeah.
It was like
That was definitely like a coincidence.
he's like he's like
Like how do you not see that? It's like Lou Gehrig's disease.
he's like Franklin Gadget. It's like
Mortimer Gadget.
It's probably not even spelled like a gadget.
it's
Like
French.
it's like Gadget.
it's like Gal Gadget. Wonder Woman with Inspector Gadget things. I think
I'm
that'd be
down for
pretty
that
awesome.
too. I was just thinking,
Like instead of like a
like DC needs a crossover event.
dude, like I don't know who owns Inspector Gadget. Actually, it's a good question. Who owns Inspector Gadget?
Yeah.
What wasn't
Disney,
that?
maybe. No.
What was it? Dick? That
Well, I beg your pardon. Oh, Deke.
Whoa.
Deke. I know.
I know, like Matthew Broderick probably owns Inspector Gadget.
I don't
I
think-
feel like that was part of his
But
contract.
unfortunately, no one owns Matthew Broderick.
He's a wild
Didn't
card.
Sarah Jessica Parker own Matthew Broderick?
Not anymore. Actually, I don't know. I don't know any. Like, are they still together?
I don't know.
I don't know how anything like
Well,
that.
I
it's
hope
French
so.
Stewart now.
I like to believe
Oh,
in
gosh.
love.
I gotta tell you, that French store. Did you see the Inspector Gadget movies at all, Ken?
I've probably seen the first one.
There was a second one that had French Stewart as Inspector Gadget.
Don't think I saw that one.
I gotta tell you, it is a better movie than the Matthew Broderick.
I could see
Inspector
that.
Gadget.
I feel like anything with not Matthew Broderick
Yeah.
is probably a better.
French Stewart was a oddly enough, just a much better Gadget. And it feels kind of weird. Like, I feel like,
I feel like Matthew Broderick was not a character actor, but he kept getting cast in character actor roles.
Well, it's like Matthew Broderick had no energy in the role. He already gave up being Inspector Gadget before he even tried to be Inspector Gadget.
Yeah,
It's
they put him in the weirdest places. Like I remember, like when Godzilla came out, I'm like, wait, Matthew Broderick, why is he still in things? Like,
Yeah.
if he's not in something like a sitcom that's coming out on like NBC, like what is he doing there?
Like, okay, Ferris Bueller was good.
Right, Ferris Bueller.
But his energy matched that.
Yeah.
And then he just kind of was like, you know what? This is the performance I'm going to do.
He tried to go like
forever.
Robin Williams, like I'm gonna go comedy into drama, but like he didn't like have it. Like he didn't.
I don't know if Godzilla can really be considered drama. It's like that scene where Godzilla's holding like Mothra's skull. You know, and it's like,
I'm not saying it was successful. I'm saying that's what he was trying to do. So
than
he thought that Godzilla was going to be that, what that Robin Williams movie with Matt Damon,
Good Will Hunting?
Good Will Hunting. Yeah, he thought that was going to be his Good Will Hunting.
Godzilla hunting.
Godzilla, right?
Godzilla's like doing a math problem on the chalkboard.
Oh man,
Robin Williams hugging him. It's all right. It's okay.
He tells him like the story about his wife farting in her sleep,
It's not your fault.
and the T-Rex just laughs.
The T-Rex and Godzilla.
Oh right.
Hey, so
You know what? Here
Was Godzilla not a T-Rex? Is
he's
that-
some kind of Rex.
Yeah. All right. Well, that Godzilla might have been a dinosaur. I think.
I mean, was he like
raptor eggs?
paleontologically accurate?
Like Godzilla in the Toho ones.
Was he like a Muppet?
Well, it was actually just a guy in a suit, which I really feel bad for because it was, that couldn't be very comfortable.
I'd pay good money to see a Godzilla movie, but with Animal from the Muppets CGI'd in
It's like
place.
Godzilla, or how about Godzilla versus Animal? Like that would be.
Instead of like the whatever
like-
that butterfly was that he
There's
fought.
precedents, like in what was
Mothra?
the first Muppet movie, like Animal was
Oh yeah, he
huge.
grew huge. Yeah.
So you could
Dr. Beaker, or I mean, sorry, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, like uses the formula and grows him huge. Like, and at that point, Godzilla was like the hero. So they're like, all right, well, who can we get to fight Animal? Because I imagine once he has that unlimited power, Animal is a total dick. Like I imagine he stomps everything, and then perfect.
All he knows how to do is play the drums, so he's like safe at normal size.
It's like it's Godzilla versus Animal, and then when it doesn't look like it's coming, they drop in the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man to help him out.
Oh, I thought you were gonna bring.
Yeah.
Ultraman.
It's funny. I was like my old lady or whatever. She's been playing Animal Crossing. Like,
Yeah.
And
That's a weird
there's
Muppet
a
crossover.
but no, trust me, it's topical because of the Stay Puft thing.
Oh, okay.
There's a character in this on her island. I forget her name. It's like Renee, I think. She's like a rhino. She's just like a non-playable character. I played it once, and honestly, all I did was like I went over to Renee's house. It was like the middle of the night. This game's weird. Like you have to like play in real time. So I only play like in the middle of the night, and everybody's asleep. So I went over to Renee's
taking
house,
stuff.
and she's this rhino, and I liked like it was like surf rock playing in her apartment, but she's wearing the Stay Puft like sailor shirt.
Huh.
And like exactly like the Stay Puft Marshmallow,
Like,
and no pants. So I thought I knew right out of the gate she was ready to party.
Yeah, there was you walked in on some kind of fetish.
And I was like, what is going on here? Surf rock playing. I'm like, man, I couldn't have dreamed this.
She's a rhino. She's in New York.
Yeah.
We get this bitch later.
But
Don't have any problems.
But anyway, I was thinking when you went Stay Puft, I was thinking like Megazord from Power Rangers.
Gosh.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Like, let's just get everything.
We can. Yeah, this is gonna be like the Ready Player 2, where we just have all this obscure '90s stuff that.
all the B franchises.
Yeah, we'll have like the Thundercats there. Who else? What is it? The VR Troopers.
Oh yeah, VR Troopers would do great.
What about Beetleborg?
Ghost Rider.
Not just Ghost Rider, but also Ghost Rider.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, that's what I said.
Oh,
Clarissa
Ghost
from Clarissa Explains It All? Because we're going to need somebody to explain all this.
Yeah.
Animorphs.
Oh,
I'm in. Sabrina the Teenage Witch?
Flipper. I don't know what we're doing.
I'm not sure either.
Flipper would actually be pretty cool. Like, Flipper is the... Once you
he's like the Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, like...
But they have him in a tank and he just
very
like gives advice.
sophisticated, he's a very sophisticated creature, but he's
And they're trying to catch a murder dolphin.
You thought it was a shark, but it's not.
What is it? Silence of the Clams. I just see SpongeBob somehow involved in this.
That is
He's
technically
everywhere now.
90s.
I know.
Yeah, he's in Bikini Bottom, so he's
Which is a
underwater.
weird choice. Dude, that's another show too. Like honestly, when I was younger, I kind of like my younger siblings watched it, and I thought like I was like, this show makes people dumb.
Yeah,
And I was totally anti SpongeBob. But then like I kind of went through this like thing. When, later on I was like, SpongeBob is okay as long as that's not all you watch.
Mm-hmm.
But now like my kids are like they kind of watch it whenever they get that like we make them watch educational stuff, but it's like whenever they get to watch something stupid, they watch SpongeBob, and it's like, dude, that show's weird watching it from like my perspective now. I'm like, there's a lot of like I don't know.
Dolphins.
It's supposed to be a kid show on Nickelodeon in the 90s, and I feel like why was Bikini Bottom like greenlit as far as the place they live like?
Oh, well,
Because I mean, there's not a whole lot living inside of a Bikini Bottom.
well, you know why they named it Bikini Bottom, right?
I do not.
Because it's supposed to be underneath the Bikini Atoll where they did the nuclear tests. That one of the going theories is that
Yeah, it's a nice cop
They're
out.
all
that's why
mutants.
they're all kind of mutants from that. That's why you have a like
You want to know my theory?
talking sponge.
It's a metaphor for venereal diseases. The whole
I got a
show.
whole case of Squidward.
Mr. Crab.
You know it?
Hey,
Yep.
And yet the syphilis.
Right? What's that
Yeah.
squirrel doing down there in a spacesuit?
Yeah. Too much. They have a beach. I never got that. They have a
Yeah, they
beach
have a
where
beach.
there's even more water.
Right. They have a
you
roller
can
coaster.
actually have like
Like a little.
like lakes and rivers in water because of like different densities and different levels of salinity and
That is true.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess the.
But I don't think that that's what inspired the antics.
no,
I
because
thi-
it would have just killed them.
I like to think that there's that was like a volcano thing underneath, and that's why you're getting all this crazy shit. Like if you go too far down, actually no, if you go too far down, it's like the abyss. Where they where like if you go too like if Sandy, is that her name, the astronaut girl, the squirrel?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if she goes too far, if she goes underneath that beach, the pressure's too great, and she just crushes.
Yeah.
The whole bubble thing comes out. That's kind of dark.
I still think.
This is why I don't watch SpongeBob.
Yeah, I don't watch SpongeBob because I'm convinced that it all takes place in a pair of bikini bottoms. And
I'm
that's
just waiting for BP oil to have.
And where's
a
the
big spill
CDC on that one? Ugh.
BP oil for the.
Yeah, to have a big spill and they're all.
And I mean, like
floating
nobody's
out in
like
the
ever commented on the fact that like sea sponges don't look like that. Like, why is he a kitchen sponge?
Because maybe he was just a kitchen sponge. They just dropped him. Like
Yeah.
he was somebody's friend. Like I imagine that. I don't know. Like
And
some.
when they like animated them, like
Like some guy
They
guy
brought
on
him
a
to life?
ship is like,
ocean. He was a Wilson.
yeah, he was a Wilson. Like some guy was like got lost and he's like, oh, I'm gonna put little clothes on this sponge, and then it just dropped and flipped. Like no, SpongeBob. Actually, that actually makes a little bit too much sense.
yeah.
Because if I was Wilsoning a sponge, I would probably call it
Oh,
something like
my.
SpongeBob.
Now I'm wondering
Oh,
whose perspective all of this takes place from.
takes place from Daniel Day-Lewis.
I like to think it's.
He's researching a
I like to
role.
think
He's
it's
actually
Fred
Sandy.
Savage's grandfather telling him the story before bed.
The Princess Sponge. It took me. I've only seen that movie once, the Princess Bride.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think I seen it like once too, and that was it for me.
And I liked it. I liked it a lot, but it was like one of those movies where I'd only seen it once, or I'd never seen it before, and everyone was pretty much like, what do you mean you've never seen The Princess Bride before?
Yeah.
Like, you gotta watch this movie. And I watched it, I'm like, man, this is great. But then, yeah, I was done. I was like, okay. I checked
And I
that
feel
list.
that way about the Goonies too. Like everybody like heralds the Goonies, and don't get me wrong, I like the Goonies, but I feel like I saw that movie a couple times when I was a kid, and it was good, but like for me, it's not one of those ones that I like go back to. Like, man, this is what identified film for me.
I love the Goonies.
Yeah, the Goonies.
I think Mama Fratelli is one of the greatest villains of all time.
Maybe I need to go back and watch it again. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe I just like I'm stuck with my memories of it from
Just
when
like,
I was like
screw the Goonies.
when I was like 11. I'm probably just maybe it's contrarianistic, and I'm just like I don't like everybody likes the Goonies.
Yeah, so if you didn't grow up with certain movies, you might not have.
Right, it's hard to attach to nostalgia. Like I think I was saying earlier, like there's certain things like oh yeah, we were talking about Master of Disguise.
Oh yeah.
Like that movie's terrible, but like I love it because like I was like such a huge Dana Carvey fan. So it's like I mean that's what I guess that's what's cool about like any sort of art form is that
I
if somebody watches it, you did your job.
Yeah.
I remember I told our friend Chris, you know Chris, he was dumbfounded that I didn't grow up with Willy Wonka. I saw it one time. It was on. Well, I didn't see the whole thing. It came on one time when I was. It was like Thanksgiving or something. I was like 11 years old, and I was like, "Oh, let me flip it on." Of course, the one scene that I flipped it onto was the boat ride scene. So I just didn't. I was like, "All right, I don't understand this," and I turned it off. And
that's like not knowing you took LSD and then waking up and finding out you did.
So like I just kind of avoided it. And then when I found out, he found out, he's like, "You've never seen this?" I was like, "No," but I was like, "But I've seen the Johnny Depp version. That's fine, right?" And he was like, he literally. This is back when you had to order the Netflix through the mail. Like he literally. Like canceled whatever like was above the list and ordered
he put it at the top of his queue.
Right away. He's like, you know what? No, it's coming. I
remember those
like
days.
2 days, and then we're watching it.
Yeah, they had a pretty good turnaround time. I remember me and Diane used to do that.
Yeah, I used to. Like,
I watched The Hills Have Eyes.
That was a good movie. The original.
Yeah, the original one was The Hills Have Eyes 2 was a. No, I was talking about the remake. The original. The original, I think I watched after I watched the remake because it was one of those first ones that you could actually stream on Netflix, the website. I did it on like a compact Presario in like 2008 or something. It was garbage, like buffered and.
Yeah. The first movie I saw on the streaming Netflix was Donnie Brasco.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah, forget about it. You know, it was a decent movie.
I forget the
topical today too.
I
think about all those cop movies, like the other one with about Frank Rizzo from Philly, the Thin Blue Line or whatever.
Oh yeah,
it's like crazy how relevant those things are.
And Serpico.
Yeah, Serpico, all that stuff. That cracks me up. And like not to get too political, but like the whole like police. No,
no political.
I'm just saying, like during the mafia days, we'll say. Everybody likes mafia movies.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's not a new thing.
Well, yeah, no.
Corruption, I mean.
There was, I told you, I just saw Serpico a couple years ago, and it was like, they were pretty much, it was definitely like a true story, and
yeah, like I remember I watched this documentary called The 5-4, and this was like maybe like 5 years ago. I think the guy was on Joe Rogan, and this was a cop in the 90s that was I mean, granted, this is like definitely a select few among, whichever, but like they were like, the story was about, he was telling the story from his perspective, which is kind of I think what grossed me out about it, the fact that he was talking about how corrupt he was, and then he did his time, and like now he's out. But it's like, I just feel like the things that this dude did, like he should not be out of, then on Joe Rogan's podcast and have a movie. Like
there was a movie I saw, and this is a very an older movie because it starred Jimmy Stewart, and it was called, and of course it was called The FBI Story. And I think it was like from the 50s or 60s, but like the last person you think of and like it wasn't even hard hitting police drama or anything, but the last person you expect to see as like a tough guy cop is Jimmy Stewart, what I mean? And this was after his I guess it was right around his Western phase, where like most people think of Jimmy Stewart, at least I know I do. You think of like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, or It's a Wonderful Life kind of Jimmy Stewart, where he's just this bumbling kind of like lovable, like shoulders, I don't know, But then he had like a full a second career where he was just in westerns, like he was just a western star. He was like Roy Rogers
or Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, and it was like, it's crazy. I was like, man, I never.
Clint Eastwood did it the other way around. Clint Eastwood went from like spaghetti western to serious right-wing drama.
And then he started doing he started directing. And somewhere in between there was a monkey movie. There was 2 monkey movies where he's just walking around with monkeys.
Clint Eastwood or Jimmy Stewart?
No, Clint Eastwood. Any Which Way But Loose.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
Clint Eastwood did the voice of the monkey.
Yeah. Jimmy Stewart was the voice of the monkey.
That would be better.
Yeah.
Shit, there was.
I want Curious George with Clint Eastwood as the man in the yellow hat, and Jimmy Stewart as the voice of Curious George.
The man with no hat. George, what do you think you're doing over there?
That guy would pay some.
I don't know. I saw a banana, so I took the banana.
It was a beach ball.
Was that your beach ball?
I wanted to play with the children.
The children didn't want you to play with them. They were happy. They were having fun.
Yeah, George.
But you ripped their face off, George.
One of them got a little fresh with me.
He got a different haircut that I wasn't used to, and it scared me. And I was on Xanax, and I don't know what happened.
George, you know that we're gonna have to move again.
Dude, and you know what? That's the man in the yellow hat's fault, because he's a terrible monkey owner.
Yeah.
Like, all right, like, look, I like monkeys, but I would never get one, because first of all, like, it might rip my kid's face off, or even if it just like shits in its hand and throws it at me. Like, I don't need that in my life.
Like, the man in yellow hat just.
But you gotta pay attention to a monkey.
He bought a monkey, and then he just kind of left the monkey to his
Yeah,
own
he just
devices.
leaves it all willy nilly, like just roams around town. What is he doing? Why is he wearing that yellow hat? And he's the man in the yellow hat. But what about his yellow suit? Nobody talks about that. like if it was a blue suit, it might be like, oh, okay. But
do you think if the man in the yellow hat like did a Christmas thing where he dressed as Santa Claus, he'd still keep the yellow hat? So like all the kids will know exactly who he is. Like, you're not fooling anybody. He's got the beard, got the red suit, got the boots, but doesn't have the hat. He's got the yellow hat.
yeah, everybody would know.
Yeah, like it ruined the illusion for all the kids.
What if the man in the yellow hat is like Waldo, but like in a different disguise?
Just, you know,
Like, I'd be curious if that would work. Right, like if I were to like take that in Adobe Photoshop
just
and just swap costumes, we might have just found Waldo for real.
Yeah, just erase the glasses.
Yeah, people have been asking where's Waldo for years.
I don't know. I
Nobody-
think he looks more like Dave Seville. Like he gave up on the chipmunks and like,
adopted a monkey.
Yeah, it was causing even more trouble.
He's like,
Right.
this fucking thing can't sing.
Yeah, because he paid equally as little attention to the chipmunks as he did the monkey. Like, he's
Like,
just
this
a bad pet owner. If he got a goldfish, he would be dead in a week.
Like, he adopted the Clifford the Big Red Dog, and
And then he live in a high rise. Like, where's the?
who, Clifford?
No, I mean, now that he would.
Yeah. The man in the yellow hat.
I
Yeah,
guess
like,
so. It's
they're
got that
always in, like, an
concrete
apartment,
jungle
like-
kind of thing.
What were these neighbors just? They were always just like, it was always just hijinks. Like, nobody like
All the
interjected.
damn monkeys out again. Figures.
Yeah, and like all the neighbors are waving to the monkey, like swinging through the friggin'.
It's like, you point to the law that says I can't do this. You point to the law.
Yeah, neighbors
man,
like
he's
giving
got
them
us
ice
there.
cream cones. Like,
Like-
can a monkey even have dairy? Like, what is
It's like every
this
time
unrealistic world that we describe to children?
Every time there's a tenant meeting, like every tenant in that building, is like, they don't invite the man in the yellow hat because they're always talking about him.
All right. Anyone have any new business? Everyone. Anything not about the ape?
Yeah. The man in the yellow hat, I think he put too close in my car. And while we're talking about the man in the yellow hat,
I think the man in the yellow hat stole my bananas.
the one guy who doesn't understand he has a monkey living in this house.
And that's another one. Like, whose perspective is this being told from? They don't even know the man in the yellow hat's name, but they know the monkey's name.
I think it's supposed to be from the monkeys because, you know, it's
They
like
call
that,
the man
But
in
it's
the
in
yellow
third
hat by
person.
name.
yeah, like, what do you think the man in the yellow hat real name is? Like, what do you think his first name is? Let's take a guess. I'm thinking Bill.
Yeah, it's probably something mundane.
Yeah, like-
what year? What decade was this?
I think the original was in the 30s or 40s.
All right, yeah, probably something like Gerald or something like that.
Also, is that like, since he doesn't know his name and doesn't really have any respect for the owner, is always trying to leave, it's like, is the man in the yellow hat his captor? Is George a prisoner?
Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, like and George doesn't get that he's a prisoner. He's just like having hijinks, but he keeps on taking him to secondary locations.
Like, yeah, all the stories are about his attempts at escape,
and
then he's just recaptured at the end.
yeah, the man
every time.
catches him and is like, oh no, puts him in a sack and drags him back home.
Right, it should end with George just fuming in his room, like one of these days.
Cage.
Every time George escapes, he's black bagged, back to his home.
Yeah,
He drives around the block a few times.
it's like
to
what
confuse
Jeffrey
him.
Dahmer did with his like Craigslist dates or whatever.
The man in the hat walks around with a cast around
Yeah.
his arm.
What was he doing with that monkey?
He's got.
Could you
there's
help me
been-
move this couch?
There's been more than one Curious George.
Show us on the doll where the man in the yellow hat touched you.
It's like, oh, the top of the head. I don't get it. I guess that's not so bad. One of those Mandela effect things is that does Curious George have a tail or not? And like, I don't know. I never remembered him having a tail, but
Does he not?
he doesn't know. But I think everyone is in agreement that he has a tail. But I'm like, I don't know. Like,
I think people are asking the wrong questions. What did the man in the yellow hat do with this monkey's tail? That's what I mean. This dude, he's got this monkey like captive. He's cut the monkey's tail off because he doesn't want him swinging from.
Well, to be fair, that monkey is a Super Saiyan or a Saiyan. So once he looks at the moon, he just gets huge. So
I have a feeling it was a series of punishments. Like every time he ran away, another
right, took off
from
like
that
a
tail came
like
off.
A third of the tail came off, and yeah. It was a certain percentage, so now it's just.
Yeah, did anybody look and see how many toes he has? They might have moved on to.
He kept on escaping too easily. He was like, alright, I gotta do something to screw with this guy's equilibrium. Like, he's not gonna have a good balance if I remove his tail. It's gonna take him a while to learn this one.
Yeah, give him a sinus infection. That'll mess with your equilibrium.
He's got black mold in his house. Just to make sure that he can never. It's like, man in the yellow hat, I think at this point, is going a little bit too far to keep this monkey. Like,
yeah, more like the man in the yellow radioactive suit.
Like, he keeps George in a well in his basement.
he's like, I was getting
It's
too
really like an experiment, like how to breed monkeys without tails for some reason. He's not he's not legally a monkey. That's why he just keeps slipping through the cracks.
It's like it's more accurate to call him a chinchilla.
Right, animal control won't touch it.
Like he's had a series of Georges, and then after they lose enough weight, he'll cut them up and try and make a chimp suit because he wants to be a chimp himself.
There's just jars of just new Georges in there, like just in suspended animation.
Stem cells.
And like he tucks his dick back so he has a tail.
Or do you want to go like the Alien Resurrection route where there's these mutant Georges on a slab?
I like Tranny George, preferably. I mean, I'm kind of a fan of that. Like him trying to use the bathroom in like Alabama. Like, but like everybody, all like, which one he should use, like.
How did we get to that?
Because you said about tucking the.
Well, yeah, that was
the Buffalo Bill thing.
That was a buffalo from Silence of the Lambs.
Oh, yeah. But I thought we were talking about George tucking.
No.
I got off the rails there. Because we talked about George didn't have a tail.
Yeah,
so I thought that like he felt insecure about that, so he used he would tuck his dick to like get the tail. So he wasn't really like trying to pretend he was just trying to pretend he had a tail.
And like,
but it was like he was in Alabama and it was taken the wrong way. Is what I mean.
But boy, he could like he has a hell of a grip with that dick of his.
He can make it. He can wag it.
He hangs down from the light pole. It's like, man,
Yeah.
but it's like the wrong way. he's like facing the ceiling. Like, George, get down from there. And it's like he unraveled everything. It's very painful, but you know, that's why you don't cut tails off of monkeys, I guess. Or you grow them in jars.
Tails or monkeys?
Man, growing a tail, it's like Edward Scissorhands shit, where he's like, you know, Vincent Price presents the tail to George right before he dies and everything.
What do you think? Do you think the character of the man in the yellow hat would be different if it wasn't a cowboy hat? Like, do you think if it was like one of those, if it was a big yellow British Royal Guard hat,
or like a baseball hat with like an unusually large brim, like that kid from Sandlot?
Killing me, George. So he's got one of those. He's got one of those big Russian hats, but it's all yellow.
Or just
with the ear flaps, like a Cousin Eddie hat.
Yeah. He's got a dunce cap on,
or just a beanie.
So
like a hipster,
a propeller beanie.
So that would be an interesting concept. You know, Curious George, like the Soviet knockoff of Curious George, the man in the red hat, and like he escapes and he visits the gulags.
And he's like, but he's still doing monkey things.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, look at him up. He's on the chandelier of the gulags.
I picture like
fancy gulag.
I picture like the end of Anchorman when like Baxter comes back and like he's met.
Yeah, he's been like
through his travels, like he's all intelligent and he talks down the.
He talks to the different.
Yeah.
To the bears and
like
everything.
Maybe like Curious George knows more than the man in the yellow hat is willing to admit.
That's why he's got to silence him.
Like, because we've never really given George the opportunity to see through his entire vision. He's always...
If we teach Curious George sign language, then we are going down a very dark road there. Like, it's, there are some things that you shouldn't know. You shouldn't find out about. Like, the man in the yellow hat is going to prison for a long time. The man in the red hat, too.
Anybody who identifies as that kind of moniker should be questioned.
Anybody whose name is their clothing.
He's actually a pimp.
Yeah, the man in the purple hat.
Like the man in the Jason mask. Alright, it's not as fun anymore, is it?
Or like, I mean, like, what if he didn't have a hat? Like, what would they call him? Like, just the man? Would they go?
The man without the yellow hat.
Would they go straight to the yellow suit then? Like, and how come? I know I'm going back to it, but like, why is the hat what stands out?
Well, it's
Like, he's wearing all yellow, like he's in a friggin' rap video from the '90s.
Like, he started off with the hat, and then it became a thing, so he just had the motif.
Yeah. It's like he wanted to be known as the man in the yellow hat for so long. And then it just kind of kept on going from there.
I wonder if it's like a product of one of those things, like when children's books, like early in like the 30s and stuff, got printed. Like when color was available, there was only like a few.
Like,
so they were like, well, we can use yellow and brown and like red. So like
the man
we're either making the balloons red or the guy red. So
like, do you think he like kept on adding clothes and wanted to be called like, how about the man in the yellow hat and the yellow boots? And they're like, nah, let's just leave it at that. Let's just leave it at the hat.
Yeah,
Is
he's wearing
it
like
that,
a
or,
jumpsuit.
Or he there's another name he wanted to get rid of, like the man who shat his pants at the Arby's. And then like, no, I'm the man with the yellow hat now.
Hey, it's Pink Fucker Thomas. Like, no, the man in the yellow hat.
You built 1,000,000 bridges.
Like, you fucked one pig.
No one remembers he is a bridge builder.
He was like the kid who got caught like in high school on a computer looking at like hentai, and he really wanted to get rid of that name, that kind of thing. So, he tried a bunch of different costumes. Like, I'm the man in the red cape. Like, oh, that didn't work.
Yeah, because it was just the red cape.
Yeah,
and that was not safe for children.
Let's be honest. Not a lot of people can pull off a cape. Like
no.
Lando Calrissian.
Yeah, but
I think that's it. I think that's the only.
What about
person.
in like real life? Who do you think could pull off a cape? Like if they just showed up.
They just showed up
in public, like and I'm talking like it could be celebrities.
Yeah.
People let's go with like people like generally like who could just start wearing a cape. Politicians, anybody. And nobody would really question it.
They'd be like, who's cool enough to pull off a cape?
Yeah, the only person I could think who could have pulled off a cape would have been Prince.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I can get behind
Absolutely.
that.
No, I would have even. He might have even done it.
I know. I'm starting to think like.
Yeah, he probably did.
Did Prince wear?
He wrote the whole soundtrack for Batman. Like, how did he never end up in a cape?
He wore a raspberry cape.
Like
that was a
Prince
great
wore
example.
Cape, no one would think think anything like, yeah, of course he's wearing the cape.
Like,
today.
why wouldn't he wear a cape?
When wasn't he wearing a cape? I thought he was always had that cape.
It's funny that we kind of can remember him with.
It's like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait.
Like when he had that little web cape.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, but he only had it like in like one issue, but like nerds hang on to that.
It's like early on he had like the little web cape.
Yeah,
and people were like, yeah.
People were like, we want an Easter egg for that.
And Edna Mode got to him and was like, yeah, no capes. And there was that. Yeah, so Prince is the only person that could pull off a cape.
Yeah, it's probably true. I mean, I was trying to think of even in the celebrity world, I feel like he's the only one.
Yeah, like...
Or maybe, like, alright, maybe, what's the other one? I Feel Good. What's it?
Oh, James Brown?
James Brown could do a cape.
Yeah,
he's probably done the cape. I think he's...
Like,
he's probably
did Elvis have a cape? Like, on his suit, on his little...
He had, like, the collar. He probably could have snuck a cape on and nobody would have noticed.
I
feel like there's a lot more answers to this question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he had more. He was more of a tassel man than a cape.
Like on his nipples.
That's true too. Like you get those leather jackets with the long tassels and they're all glittery. Like is that?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
That's venturing into cape territory.
Like
it's one step below.
It's in the spirit of cape.
Because the cape is almost never functional, except for Batman's.
It's cape-like. Yeah. Like Batman.
Nobody else needs it to fly.
Is like the Dark Knight Batman. Yeah, Superman doesn't need the cape to fly. He just
Right, he's
wants
just
the
being
cape.
condescending.
He's like, you know what? This is gonna look cool as shit if I wear this.
Hey, you guys, I'm gonna make you guys jealous that I'm in the freaking
Well, that was
sky.
the blanket he was born in.
Yeah, I mean, he could have done other things with it.
He could have thrown that blanket away.
Why did he always have to like?
Always carries around his blanket. Was he Linus?
Why didn't he like fly around and save lives as like a mild-mannered looking dude so that he wouldn't like Clark Kent was like under the radar,
Yeah.
right? Nobody even knew that he was Superman. But like everybody knew Superman was Superman. He puts on his freaking multicolored
I feel like
sherbird
he
suit and he's flying around in town in a cape.
I feel like he wanted to be a bullfighter at one point, but you know, he's like, there's nothing in this for me.
Like
This is
he
too
was
easy.
decking these bulls and they would explode. There was no challenge in
Yeah,
that.
so he's like, you know what? Maybe I should
Right.
help people instead of just killing.
And then he just tied the cape around his neck and
And then he just flew around. He's like, hey, you know, I like the way this looks in the wind here.
But there was like some.
it was like a show of like unity. He wanted the bulls to follow him.
But you know, after he left, there was some meat packing. Like Southern tycoon. Ah, there goes my best. There goes my best steer killer.
Mr. Luthor, it's okay. We'll find something else.
Yeah, he would just like punch it and it would explode into like already processed cut
like
hams.
A cartoon,
And
like this land like, yeehaw! That guy is some.
just like a lynx of sausage. And,
It lands right on a grill.
It's like, you know what? I don't think I was sent to Earth for this. Goes back, you know.
Hey, you
spins
just
around,
keep on
undo
doing
all
what
that-
you're doing, boy.
Undoes all the meat that he killed by spinning around the Earth very
Like he
fast.
goes-
Smallville deleted scenes.
He goes to the Fortress of Solitude, and his father's just shaking his head in disappointment, like, "You're better than this."
Bullfighter, really? You could have been anything. You could have been a cowboy.
But he's resilient. He's like a teenager. And he's like, I don't want to do the family. You know, I want to take care of family business, Dad.
I want to be a bullfighter. He read,
I have no son. I'm killing this whole planet.
He read The Sun Also Rises once, and he was like, you know what? I'm gonna be a bullfighter. That's just it.
That was
It's like that movie.
That was Hemingway.
yeah, I was gonna say that's
That was
him.
Hemingway.
That movie
story,
with
that.
Morgan. What was that? The movie with the female boxer?
Oh, $1 Million Baby.
Yeah, $1 Million Baby.
Or
But with
with
Superman.
Yeah, with Superman as a bullfighter.
And Morgan Freeman, right?
Well, yeah, I think
It was Clint Eastwood.
yeah, Clint Eastwood. It was Clint Eastwood. He directed that too. I
Yep.
think.
Yeah. But Morgan Freeman can be in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll see
why
why
not?
He could be the baby.
He could narrate it. I
He's a
mean,
very old baby. A million-year baby.
it's just Morgan Freeman cast as Superman in the $1 Million Baby remake.
That'd be
Insane.
that.
But I want to be a bullfighter.
Now I'm here to get into this.
A lot
ring.
can be said about saving the world.
Old Andy. That's what he named the bull.
I punched Andy in the face, and it turned inside out.
Then maybe reconsider my bullfighting ways. So, I think it's just about that time
All
to
right.
wrap it up. So, bottom line, I Am Alone, not very good, kind of unfocused.
Yeah, maybe could have branched into a different direction. You know, done something more original. I had some original ideas, barely even executed, but
Didn't go all the way with them.
yeah.
10 out of 10 from me.
All right.
Take care.
That'll hold a little SOBs.